Hey everybody. Okay, so this is the next topic that we're going to be talking about here, and this kind of builds off the conversation of um, being able to say the numbers 1 through 10, as we were talking about before, and then being able to have the one-to-one correspondence, and then having cardinality where they then know exactly what's in the group because they've just counted it. So the activity that we're going to do here, the demonstration I'm going to do here is somewhere in between the last two steps there. So you've got a student maybe who is a good counter, so they can count to 10 pretty well, and then maybe they're having some trouble with the one-to-one correspondence, and so you are going to try another activity with them perhaps. So you pull out some counters. These are great two-color counters. These are great for lots and lots of different things, and we'll use them a lot in this class. But it doesn't have to be two-color counters. It could be beans. It could be blocks. Whatever. It doesn't matter. So I'm using my two-color counters here. So you might ask the student, okay, how many do you have here, right? And they're still struggling a little bit with their one-to-one correspondence. So then something you can help is that you give them a little frame to put in there. And this is actually called a 5 frame, okay? So this is something that students do early in their math process. And basically what they do is they put one of these in each of the squares, and as they do that, they're counting it off. Okay, so that way it kind of helps them move along the one-to-one correspondence. And some kids will pick it up much more quickly than others. And so then they go 1, 2, 3, and you go, that's great, good job, thanks for playing the game, right? And you give them another one, whatever, something like that. And okay, now they're gonna go, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. And usually the frame is a little bit bigger. I had to try to squeeze it on the screen here so that they fit, but you get the idea. Okay, so so you spend a bit of time doing this, and then they're gonna have a problem that looks like this, right? So okay, so now we got this problem. So you have them count it, and they go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then they got that one, right? So they've gone beyond just the little 5 frame. And so, oh, by the way, I have another 5 frame over here. It doesn't matter which really way it goes, up and down, left to right. So they got this extra one here, and so they don't know what to do with it. Okay, so then we have, once they've done the 5 frame for a little while, and they're pretty good at that, then we move them on to a 10 frame. That's kind of what I want to talk about here. Is I do have a little bit of a pet peeve as to what you're going to see out there in the real world. So you're going to see lots of 5 frames and 10 frames as you're going through your teaching career, and almost all of them that I think you're going to come across are going to be drawn like this. So there's my 5 frame, and then there'll be another one like this. All right, so now we're calling this a 10 frame. All right, so if the first one was a 5 frame, now I've got 2 of them, so that's a 10 frame. So now they can do problems like this because they have enough room to fill it up, right? I mean, they have enough room, they're not going to fill it up, is what I should say. So they go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then they all fit. Okay, so they fill up the top row and they come in the second row. So this is a little bit of my pet peeve right here. I don't really like the way this is set up. I think there's a better way to set up, and I understand why you want to start with a 5 frame first, because the numbers are smaller and you want to bring them along the process. Excuse me. So I get why there's a need for a 5 frame, but when you want to go to a 10 frame, I don't understand drawing it like this. This to me is counterintuitive to where we want to take them, to the direction we want to go. There is nothing in our math that's going to look like this picture right here, like that one right there. There's just not. We don't have anything that resembles this model. So what I encourage my students to do is when they're in the classroom and you have students who are good on their 5 frames and you want to now encourage them to go on to a 10 frame, don't draw it like this. Draw it like this. This is the 10 frame that I think our educational system should be using. You're going to see this way more often than you see this one. So if you were going to be doing this one, right, this one over here, it can be done the same way. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there you go. You filled it in. You've got 6 of them. The benefit of this instead of this, I'm going to show you why I like this better than that one, is when they start getting up a little bit higher numbers. Okay, so now they're going to fill this in. They go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, cool. We have a full 10 there, right? The whole thing is filled in. So that 10 frame is full. That's what we would say, right? There's no more spaces available. All right, that looks like nothing to me as far as I'm concerned. That looks like a big old box of circles is what it looks like. If we use this one over here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Now when I fill in this 10 frame, it makes one big old long column, right? So we have one column that is full here and all the way to the top. And if you think about our number system, we have a number that actually looks like this, that we write down. And it's this number right here. And now you can start leading them towards understanding place value. Because when I fill in this big old long 10 frame here, and when it's all the way full, I have one long 10 and I have 0 extras sitting on the side. And that's why we call this the number 10. So this number here represents the leftovers that didn't fit in here. And this number here represents how many of these long full 10 frames that we have just filled in. We have 1 10 and 0 1s. So if they were doing this problem, right, say that I've got those 10 plus these, so I still got these 3 over here, and I would probably have another 10 frame, I'd have another 10 frame drawn here. And so I've got 1 10 filled out and then 3 extras. So I've got 1 10 and 3 1s left over. So if we use the 10 frame that looks like this, where it's a long rectangle instead of more squarish like the 5 by 5 is, if we use this one, then it's already starting to look like one of the digits we're going to have to be writing, and we want them to think of this digit here as telling me how many of these I have. How many 10 frames do I have that are full? I have 1 10 frame that is full, and I have 3 left over. That's why this is the number. We write this as the number 13 because it tells me to have 1 10 frame and 3 left over. Okay, so I'm a big fan of 10 frames. I think 10 frames are fantastic. It gives students a way to organize what is relatively chaotic and random, which is a bunch of counters out on their desk. This gives them some order, gives them some place to put things. And if we use this model of a 10 frame, it lends itself very nicely into what we want them to do next, which is going to be starting to represent the number of tiles they have in a numerical fashion. So I don't see how that translates as well over here. This does not look like a 10. I don't even like 10 frames to go horizontally, because we don't write our number horizontally, write our number vertically. So, I mean, I did this as a fancy one, but really I think most of us would write the number 13 like that. And it literally looks like a 10 frame, a long one. But if we had our 10 frame going like this, right, if there's 10 in there, I don't know if there is or not, it's probably not. That doesn't look like a 1 at all. It's going sideways. So I think that we can either make things easier for students or complicate things for students just based on how we orient our paper and orient our materials. If we can make them kind of mirror or mimic what it is we ultimately want them to be able to do, which is write numbers in numerical form, you might get a few more students that are going to understand that, hey, this big old long one means that one there means I have one of these big old long ones. That's what it means. Now, granted, when that's a 2, that means I'm going to have 2 of these, and a 2 does not look like that. I understand. But when we're trying to have them make the very first connection between what this big long 10 means compared to the number that we write down, we're probably going to start with numbers in the teens. So 13, 15, 16. We're probably not going to start with 46, right? We're not going to do 4 longs right off the bat. We're going to do like 16 of them or 12 of them or 11 of them, whatever. So this will help them make that connection. And once they have that connection and they understand that this tells me how many 10 frames I have full, then if I have a 7 there, I would know that I have 7 10 frames that are full and then 3 left over. So that's how we can help students along the road or along the process of one-to-one correlation, along with being able to help them start understanding what the numbers mean, what the numerals mean in the different spots of the place value. And we're trying to make as many connections as we can for our students between the physical model that we are asking them to build and then the algorithmic writing of it, the way we write down those digits to represent the model that we have here. Okay, so that's a real quick introduction to 5 frames, real quick on 5 frames, and then moving on over into 10 frames. I don't think you need to spend much time in the 5 frames. Once they can pretty much fill up a 5 frame, I would as quickly as you feel like it's reasonable to move them into the 10 frames, because that is so much more useful for us to then move on into the written form of these numbers. So I just don't understand this. I never have understood it. And I actually have a prototype of a 10 frame that I had the digital office where the 3D printer is. I'm trying to work with them to have them make some models for me so that I can have them for my students. And it would kind of show the difference between this and this in a pretty handy, neat little way. So anyways, that's it for this lesson. I know it's a quick one as well. I just wanted to try and keep these to maybe one topic each, and that way it won't be too daunting if I'm doing 35, 40 minutes worth of video. Okay, that's it. Thank you.